hot. Hey there, it's usually ice cold by the time I get to take a sip of coffee. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to Be a Better You Annual Challenge, Day 47. We're focusing on confidence this month, and one of the ways we can be more confident is by learning something new. When's the last time you learned something new? So I think that the world isn't divided into two types of people, but I think there are people, because everything's always on a spectrum. There are people that love to learn and are learning and growing and becoming better versions of themselves all the time naturally. They don't need any help because it's just ingrained in them that they're curious and they're always looking to learn more about especially topics that they're interested in. I think of me, I'm always learning, I'm always reading. I just finished a 30 books in 30-day reading challenge, and if you know me, you know I'm legally blind, so that is even more of a challenge for me to personally do with everything else that's going on than for most people. Now, it doesn't say anything, but it's always interesting at the end how many of us are still standing, as in we actually did the challenge. We said we wanted to do it in the beginning, all of us, but how many people actually finished it? I learned this lesson when I first came online, and it applies to everything. When you are coaching or teaching or sharing or learning something, if you go to a course, if you buy a book, I can't remember the astronomical amount of books that are sold that people never even crack the cover on. I'm guilty of that. I probably have 50 books still after the 30-day reading challenge that I haven't read yet, because as something clicks in my mind, I get it because I know I'm going to need it down the road. If it comes to me as an idea, then I know I'm going to want it or need it sometime, even if I'm not ready for it yet. And that will lead us into today's tool. Our tool or technique today is from Carol. I think her name is pronounced Dweck, but Carol Dweck's work in psychology and mindset and things, and she's a psychologist, and she shares a technique called the YET technique. I call it the YET tool, or just YET, whatever you want to call it. But what we do is we think of whenever we catch ourselves saying, I am not something, or I am not good at something, or I'm not good enough, we add yet to the end of it. I'm not a millionaire yet. I'm not a teacher yet. I'm not an engineer yet. I'm not a doctor, lawyer, Indian chief, whatever you want to become with your life or create in your life. Instead of saying I'm not, say I'm not it yet, or I soon will be. I like yet because it just immediately shifts our focus from not having what we want to say, hey, I'm on my way and progressing toward what I want. And as long as we're moving toward what we want and we keep our focus on the thing that we want, we'll get there. It might take us longer than we anticipated. It might take us longer than other people, but then it might take us less time than other people. We might surprise ourselves and realize that we already have almost everything we need to achieve that thing. We just haven't given ourselves permission to do it by letting go of past beliefs and thoughts and limiting things that are holding us back. So today, I challenge you to learn something new. Maybe it's just learn by trying on the yet strategy. Catch yourself saying something negative. I'm not a good cook, or I hate to cook. I would take I hate to cook and say I'm not a great, or I'm not a good cook yet. And usually we're not a good anything yet because it hasn't been important to us up until this point. But as things move in and out of our lives and become more and less important, then we want to make sure our self-talk and our mindset, and we have a growth mindset to match that. So how can you go about applying the YET technique today? Number one, identify a limiting belief. I guarantee you'll have at least one limiting belief thought through the course of the day. You know, even if you're the most exceptional person on the earth, you will have at least one limiting belief thought. It might be fleeting, you might change it immediately, but you're going to have one. So be on the lookout for those. And when you hear one pop into your head, I'm not a good speaker. I used to tell myself that all the time. I remember in high school, I think I took debate in high school. I don't even remember high school now. It's been so many years. But I was always super duper nervous and self-conscious, right? When it was my turn to debate or my turn to speak in speech class. We all had to take speech back in the day. I don't even do that now. But we had to take a speaking course so we could learn how to speak in front of a class of like 20, 30 peers, right? Kids that are in high school that probably aren't listening to you anyway. But it was really scary, and we had to overcome that. And I would say, I'm not a good speaker. I can't do this. And how powerless is that, right? We all speak. We might not be a good presenter yet, but we've all been talking since we're like 2 years old. So we've got lots of experience talking. Even at 17, 16, 17, 18, we got a dozen years under our belt of our ability to actually make coherent thoughts and sentences, ask for what we want, etc. So second thing we're going to do is reframe it by adding yet. So I'm not good enough yet. I'm not trained enough yet. I'm not experienced enough yet. I'm not old enough yet. I'm not young enough yet. You're not going to get any younger, right? That's one that maybe it doesn't apply to. Third, we're going to take action. We are going to back up our yet with some form of action. So if I say, I'm not a good presenter, I'm not a good presenter yet, what am I going to do to back that up? A friend of mine, Jason, actually said that to himself in college. He's like, I'm not a good presenter. I'm scared to get up and talk in front of my peers. And in college, some of our classes had 200 to 300 people in them. So it's a little more intimidating than high school was. But you need to take action. So what he did is he signed up for a powerful speaking course, a course that would help him be more confident in speaking. He practiced it. He did the mirror technique. He practiced in front of the mirror. He said it out loud. He practiced and prepared, because mastery builds confidence, right? When we practice and prepare and research and have confidence in the information that we're providing and sharing, and we know that it's for the benefit of the people we're talking to, then we become a better presenter, and we get better and better and better over time. And that's what happened to Jason. We celebrate our small wins. Hey, you do that first presentation, it might suck. Let's be honest. It's going to be hard. I remember some of my first presentations in corporate America were rough. Even in college, they were rough. But by doing it over and over and over again, by practicing and preparing enough to be confident enough to get it out of my mouth, doesn't mean I didn't ever stumble on my words. I've done, almost 9,000 videos, and I still trip over my tongue, use filler words, say the wrong thing, don't look out into the camera. All the things that we're told we need to do, we forget to do, right? But we get better and better and better over time. And finally, after separating and celebrating, see, I just did an example of it. Celebrating our successes, we want to remember to surround ourselves with growth-minded people. Join growth-minded communities. If you don't have anybody that supports you in your immediate vicinity right now, get online and join some groups of people that are doing what you want to do. So like Jason did, he went online and he joined some Facebook public speaking groups, some groups where he could practice speaking. He got on Zoom calls and practiced being the leader and the presenter for the topic of the Zoom call. Some of them he just did as practice. Some of them he did, and now he does them all the time. Bet he's on Zoom every day. But surround yourself with a growth-minded community of people, or a like-minded group of people, if it's something positive and you want to aspire to be a better you. Don't go join in a bunch of I call them whine, bitch, and moan groups, because that are all negative, because they will suck you into the void and the negative vortex and the negative spiral. Let's not do that, especially when we're doing a Be a Better You annual challenge. All right, so what are we going to do today? We're going to notice a negative thought, a limiting belief when it pops into our head. If you hear, I am not good enough, I am not good enough yet. I am not good enough at what yet, right? Because I am not good enough as a blanket statement just totally wipes out us. It totally negates all the positive work that we're trying to do. So don't let it. Just say, guess what? We can decide not to let it. I've decided to not believe that I'm not good enough for anything that I choose to pursue. If I choose it, that means it's right for me. If I don't choose it, it might not be right for me. Or if I choose not to do it, it's probably not right for me, either on a mental, a spiritual, or energy level, whatever. It just doesn't, if it doesn't feel right, my head, my heart, or my gut, my intuition, I say no now. It took me a long time to get there. All right, if I can help you in any way, ask, because we're not done yet. And I will, of course, be with you tomorrow.